So yeah, welcome everyone to today's session. Today we would like to introduce you to the Servitisation Transition Alliance, which is led by Emma, who's here with us today, to tell a little bit about what the SET Alliance is about and how you could benefit from joining it. We already indicated in the beginning of the incubator and also set out in the memorandum of understanding that part of how you can get exposure to our network would be by joining the SET Alliance. And so today's session is really about letting you know what this alliance is about and how you could benefit. And we will also brainstorm towards the end a little bit together with you what your needs would be with regards to the implementation of cooling as a service. And so that being said, I would say we get started. I'll share my screen. Okay. Can you see it? Yeah. All right. So as we told you already in the module on CAS, we launched the Cooling as a Service initiative in 2019. And this has sort of led to the launch of the SET Alliance, whereby more and more companies started to implement cooling as a service, also across different sectors and with different appliances. And we thought at BASE, hey, let's try to leverage all this knowledge across the world that companies have been collecting, and also collaborate with different stakeholders working in the area of servitization to bring together all these experiences and lessons learned and use this to accelerate the servitization transition. And we are right now also building different communities of practice within the SET Alliance, amongst which the Cooling as a Service community is one. And Emma will now say a few words on this, what the SET Alliance is about. So over to you, Emma.
Thanks, Selina. So as Selina just explained, the SET Alliance grew from the Cooling as a Service initiative. So BASE has different initiatives that surround servitization and moving from selling products to services. And the reason why BASE has focused on this particular business model is because it's a real growing trend. And the market that we're focused on is in developing clean and efficient technologies. And specifically, we're looking at maturing the market for applications like heating, cooling, lighting, which we know there is a big opportunity to drive energy efficiency and also to integrate renewable energy into solutions. I guess the figure kind of shows that what we're really trying to do is move what is now, I would say, an emerging market to mature this and scale this. And scalability is the big issue, I think, faced by many of the different solutions. And with Cooling as a Service, we see this as well. And the model itself, as you already know, because you've had the module on CAS, it overcomes key market barriers, including, for example, the cost of the clean and efficient technologies, which is often higher than what different customers are willing to pay. And the idea is, in order to move the market, that we bring the relevant stakeholders together. Next slide, please, Selena. Yeah, so really the SET Alliance is a group of kind of visionary entities, and the vision is where these kinds of solutions like CAS are normal rather than the exception. And what we're really dedicated to is mainstreaming the model to deploy clean and energy efficient solutions and contributing to the energy transition and accelerating the path to net zero. And we want our members to be engaged with clean and efficient technologies, as well as exploring servitisation. So some of our members are really at the beginning of servitisation or developing an offering, and others are much more mature and are looking to share, for example, best practices or to expand into other markets or other regions. So we really feel like we're building an ecosystem of different organizations that have different levels of engagement with servitisation, because this is an emerging or this is a growing trend, I would say. And the mission is also about providing this assistance in capacity building and developing strategies to unlock investment in servitisation. So a big part of the vision and the creating a market is the bringing together technology providers and financial institutions in this discussion. Next slide, please, Selena. You all know this, I'm sure, but just the kind of rationale why what we're doing is so important. We know that energy use is predicted to increase significantly. This is due to lots of factors, and especially for cooling. We know it's the fastest growing use of energy, for example. And the solution, on the solution side, much of what needs to be done, the technologies exist with renewable energy technologies and more efficient technologies. And on its own, energy efficiency is really important. And the CAS model, the reason why we share this figure is because it incentivizes this focus on driving performance and making sure that energy use is optimized, because this is all locked into the service that you offer. And of course, oh, sorry, one more second. And of course, the big issue is the climate finance gap. And we know what we need to do is stimulate more investment in the right markets, in the right solutions, to really drive the change that's necessary. And we know that the climate change disproportionately affects emerging economies. And so we need to also focus on how we can bring solutions to where they're needed the most. Next slide, please. This is just to give you a sense of the different entities that we work with. It's very representative of base as well. So you can kind of see that we speak with government agencies, with development banks, with different associations in the space of kind of greening the built environment and also focusing on energy efficiency. So it's a real mix of different stakeholders that we want to bring together to discuss servitisation. and also, I guess, to discuss investment in this space. So our members reflect this mix. We have technology providers, different financier types, so for example, impact investors, but we also speak regularly with different development agencies and foundations, I would say. Yeah. Next slide, please. So the different activities that we undertake revolve around raising awareness. So we're always trying to create content to make people aware of the model. There are still a lot of organizations we speak to who are not aware of CAS, for example, or what this means for them. So a large part is delivering content that illustrates the benefits of the model and where it's working. For example, the case study that we released recently with Coldfresh on their cold room project. And we write articles on different kinds of topics surrounding servitization. We look at different applications, so heating, lighting, cooling, and e-mobility and energy storage. We're interested in all the different solutions, but because we've kind of come from CAS, I would say a strong part of what we do is still focused around cooling and the content that we produce. And we've had 2 webinars so far, and these are designed to reach a broader audience of engagement, to showcase what companies are doing and the topics that are really relevant. So the first one that we had was, oh, there's a bit of an echo. Yeah, so the first one was on decarbonizing buildings, and it was CAS related, and the second one was about digitalization, how this unlocks value. I know, obviously, because of the app that you've been using through your virtual cold chain assistant, you're already really aware of how digital tools play an important role. But this is also something that we want to raise awareness on. And then the other part is developing useful tools and materials. So under CAS, for example, there was a pricing model developed, and there's standardized contracts. And this is something that we're looking to build for different applications and different stakeholders, basically. And as well as that, we're very interested in driving the agenda and looking at where there's research gaps or where there's things we don't know. So one of the areas that we've looked at recently is the carbon credit market, and how our members, or how the organizations within our network could leverage carbon credits for investment in their projects. This is something ongoing that we will look at how we release this information and how it can best serve our members in terms of understanding what carbon credits mean for their business. And we also look to collaborate with different organizations. At the moment, we're working with the IFC on a project looking at how to unlock efficiency as a service. So that's more broad: heating, lighting, cooling within buildings in emerging cities. So this is something as well. Once that project is complete, we'll look at how we can release this information to help our members understand opportunities and challenges that they face. And one part that I think I would like our discussion to focus on later on, we're really committed to engaging with policymakers and seeing how we can unlock as a service at at a higher level with decision makers to raise their awareness on the potential for energy efficiency and reducing emissions. And this is something that we are asking our members how we can do that, because we are a global alliance, and we know that in each region or even in each city, there's different levers that we can push on. So yeah, next slide, please. So this is just to illustrate the structure of the SET Alliance. So we act as the secretariat, and then we have a steering committee who are like an advisory board. And you can see that we have Care and Energy Partners Refrigeration, who are cooling as a service providers, and they're very mature in the market. I think Care has been doing cooling as a service since 2012. And they represent the kind of technology provider perspective. And then we also have consultancies on board. So we have Atmosphere, who are really committed to driving clean refrigerant use, and the Advanced Services Group, who basically provide tools and training to manufacturers around servitisation. And they've helped more than 400 companies to change their business model from selling products to services. So they're very experienced in the business transformation side. And then we also have two universities, so Aston Business School and the University of Oxford. And the University of Oxford, for example, has an upcoming paper focusing on cooling as a service and its development over time. And we feel it's very important to keep this link with the academic community and the research community to inform them what's happening in practice. So I think the steering committee kind of represents the mix of different stakeholders that we also like to engage with. And then just a few of our members, just to explore this, you can see that there's I've pulled out cooling providers. So Cooling Tech is in Grenada, Coolbox in Nigeria, Sistea is in El Salvador, and then we have Crete Capital, which is in the Middle East, Deakin in South America, Stout is in the UAE, Native Technics is in the Philippines. So we really have members from different regions and countries. And where I see the CAS community of practice members, you can see the members that we have already. They're really part of the wider membership base, except we will have dedicated activities specifically for the application of cold rooms and this part of the cold chain, because the other members, they could be looking at other kinds of applications, for example, HVAC in buildings in the private sector, in the public sector, or solar or heating. So I see it as part of the wider group, but it's a kind of sub initiative of the SET Alliance. Next slide, please.
Yeah. So here we now arriving already at the cooling as a service community of practice. And so yeah, we are currently building this community. As you were seeing beforehand, already there are a few members whom we have onboarded. And the goal really is to provide a platform for companies for knowledge sharing and guidance on the implementation of cooling as a service. And we are at the moment in a stage where we are investigating the different challenges and needs amongst partners, to also be able to tailor events and workshops and webinars based on actual needs. And we would then also eventually offer more and more knowledge products and technical assistance based on what our members are requesting. And the benefits of the membership really are the exposure to our network, the exchange of knowledge, collaborations that you can enter with other companies. So by being part of the SET Alliance, you will have access to different contacts also of other companies, and meet them as well during the different webinars and sessions that are offered. It's of course also up to your own initiative, and in terms of approaching us and another members of your interest. And for yourselves, the membership will be free of charge. And yeah, of course, it would be nice if you are attending as much as possible events that we are having, and also spread the words across your own networks. And as Emma was mentioning, part of our work is also to really collect data and to leverage this to make it also more accessible to our members. And so one of your inputs would also be to support us in this process of data collection. So whenever there are any surveys, questionnaires related to different topics, it would be nice to receive your inputs. And right now, we wanted to also give you the opportunity to let us know how you would be benefiting best from this platform. So maybe we could have this exercise now being a bit interactive by I would take some notes, and we would open up the floor to discussion and conversation, and identify together with you on one hand what your key areas of needs and service provision would be, that you would think could be to your advantage. And then also on the right side, you see here there's some room for collecting ideas on what type of training sessions or webinars, events would be of interest to you. So maybe we can just collect some topics. So here with this, I would like to open the floor to discussion, and just please feel free to say what you're thinking. Let's maybe start with the left side. So if you could just let me know what, given the information you now have of what SET Alliance is doing and the activities, what type of service provision or technical assistance would you envision to be useful for you? I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can actually type, or make it a bit smaller.
Selena.
Yes.
Yeah, before we I want to go back to one of your earlier screens. I think is the third, maybe fourth screen. Wanted to recapture something for myself. Yeah, this one. No, go back.
Yes.
No, the one up. Yeah.
This one.
Nope, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it seems to me, which is accurate and proper, that our work, what we're doing right now, gathering data, that's good. And the SET Alliance, if you look at the dollar on the right side, about 2.4 trillion needed annually. In 2021, only about a quarter of that was invested in this sector to bring down the ultimate goal here really is about, I think it's about the global sustainability. And so that said, the kinds of, at least what we have right now, the sites we have right now, they are small scaled, small, when I say small scale, in terms of size, but aggregates of those small scale would make a big impact, right? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and so ultimately, in terms of financing some of this, especially in emerging markets such as Nigeria, is to have bankable data that financiers and investors can begin to warm up to accept. That's really what's driving this, is it not? It's more of a question, and then enlightening myself or validating for myself the way I think about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way you're seeing it is right. It's something that actually still needs to be worked on and worked out. Is this yeah, what you're saying, to be able to reach or to access investments through yeah, reaching, let's say, scalability by accumulating or aggregating smaller businesses and putting them all together in, let's say, one pool. And
it's a pool. Okay.
yeah, and yeah, but for that, of course, we need data, and the financial viability needs to be proven. That's certainly something that could evolve over time, also in the context of satellites. But it's something that we at the moment we cannot promise in which direction it's actually going to.
But that's the advantage for someone.
Yes, it's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, for someone like us doing providing this kinds of technology, the satellite. The reason I'm actually bringing this up is maybe for me, like I said, is that being a member, it's advantageous because you're gaining other knowledge and also being able to follow the trajectory of when that time comes. So that's good. All right, that's fine. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I unfortunately don't see the chat while sharing my screen. So in case somebody has a question in the chat.
Manish has a question.
Okay, and please just raise your voice and say it out loud.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for sharing the details.
Yes.
From the Site Alliance, we would like to hear about the success stories of the members who have been already, practicing in this field. And when we are setting up the new cold room, so then what are the optimum sizes of the cold room that should be set? So if you put them in 2 or 3 categories, one is for the small size, medium size, and large size, and what would be the technologies and the power needed for that. So if some such kind of a guidance or a manual can be made, so then that will be very helpful. And of course, different countries would have different requirements for the permissions and the subsidies, the grants available to them, and the funding mechanisms for that. So if you can share some light on that also, it will be good. So these are the areas in which
So access to success stories.
Yes.
Yeah. When you say optimum sizes, do you mean based on what's already being done, what's working, or?
Yes, so if you were to set up the small sizes, say like the container sizes, then let's say 20 feet or a 40 feet container are good, or you should go for the square sizes, or the height should be more, so that you are able to reduce the heat losses. because the container has long shape, which means that it may have more heat loss. So based on the success stories and based on the experience and the people who have been in this industry making the cold rooms, who have got very good expertise in the cold rooms, if they can share that, what is a good and optimum sizes. Suppose if someone says that they want to make a cold room for say 5,000 meter cube volume, then or say 500 tons capacity, then what will be the optimum sizes and dimensions that one should look? What are the things that should be considered and things like that? Yeah.
So kind of like guidance for select
Yes.
what
Yeah.
technologies, what size, depending
Yes.
on the
Yeah.
where it is, and okay, yeah, that.
Yes, and also, if they can also share upon the pricing models for the cold rooms, because everyone has got their own, pricing model depending on the area and the costs in their region. So, if everyone can share, or people who have some good experience in that, they can share. So then that can help the newcomers to, do their pricing and the business model in a way that they are able to sustain with some reasonable profit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and for the accessing of stories and experience, would you be also interested in exchange formats where you can directly interact with other companies? Of course, this would be then visually on online, but virtually. But I'm just curious if that would be of interest to you as well.
Yes, I think in the last session we had the very good meeting with Mr. Deepak. So we had invited Mr. Deepak, and he has shared his experience and how he and his team have gone ahead and made a successful implementation of this. Now, in the similar way, on the technical side also, if you can organize some such talks, and then people can interact over there, or they can even connect with them offline and get more details.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you for the input. Any other inputs?
I was wondering if for any of you it's relevant to think about incorporating other services. For example, are you looking at transport or additional services that you would include, expanding your cooling as a service offering?
Yes, such thing can be done in a way that, see, when you are having a cold room for a seasonal crop, okay, so when the crops come in, okay, at that time there is a big requirement of the energy to cool down the crops, okay, to the set temperature. But once they cool down, so then you have to only maintain that temperature. So the energy requirement goes down. And if you already have the solar system generating the energy for you, then you can use that for charging the electric vehicles or batteries and the other things over there, or for water pumping. But if the crops are coming every day, and you are also giving them out every day, so then that possibility reduces to some extent. But since you already have the operators over there at the cold room, so then that's an opportunity to do the electric vehicle charging, or charging the small batteries for people to take back to their home and things like that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is there's opportunities to optimize the energy produced in other ways. It could be transport, could be, but exploring.
Yes, and also there is a requirement of water purification. Okay, so in the remote areas, people need pure water for drinking and their home use. So that energy can be used for the water purification as well. Some can set up a small size flour mill to grind the grains into flour.
Okay, thank you, Manoj.
Let me also, in line with the access to success stories, which it's geared in this instance to size of the code room, is maybe also practitioners and those involved in industry, if we can also maybe list out the equipment, such as, for instance, whether it's the power equipment, the refrigeration equipment, those will also be helpful, so that the amount of work, or research, or could be minimized, and that will also accelerate, the design and deployment timeframe. So listing out equipment, and if even possible, maybe even price, would also be helpful, because hopefully this is an open platform that helps to drive the end goal, for service providers. That will be helpful to service providers. For me, will be helpful.
What did you just say last? The price?
Also, the price of some of the equipment, that some of the places are using, that would help to drive ready access and deployment, for someone such as a service provider as myself.
Yeah,
because that gives you validation as to what's already successful somewhere, and in this case, what you're doing in different location really is replicating what's already done somewhere. Because the end goal is to basically provide that success story to a new application or new server applications. And that would really fast track ability to do that.
Yeah.
So that would be very useful.
So for example, you mean it could be the different components that you need first, but also providers that would that offer cold rooms that you could purchase, or solar PV that you can just purchase. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you, Augustus. Any other comments? Or ideas for training sessions that you would find useful?
Yeah. Interestingly, Manish, I will send you some of the things you've mentioned, such as scaling services to the local people, the local community, which also expands the scale of the energy input. We're already actually looking into some of that. So I was just saying that is good, and I'd like to brainstorm with you some of the things you are doing locally in terms of maybe providing grinding, access to the community for processing their grain, for instance, because all they really need is the energy to drive machines. So we're looking at providing, means to process tomato puree, for instance, cassavas, things like that. So yes, it's kind of an energy hub. We are exploring the option of what we have right now, increasing our services as an energy hub, so yeah, I will agree with that. And I don't know how you phrase that. I don't see that up there, but how did you phrase that, Lena?
Yes, Thank you very much, Augustus. Yeah.
How did we phrase that in this context here? I don't see it.
So I'm not quite sure. Yeah, if you mean like collecting this knowledge in some form of another together with.
No, I think Emma had asked, a question that what might we be interested in ways that I can't remember how she phrased it. It's too early for me.
No, it was. I think some of the conversations we've had have been with companies that are providing cold rooms, but looking at different areas of the cold chain to expand.
Yeah.
And I think Manish's point was it's linked to the energy supply, that if you have a surplus that you can use for other applications, what are these? What are add-ons that you could do because you're an energy producer, basically?
Yeah.
That's her. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see that as it's you want examples of what's being done?
It's an example of what we are intending to do.
Okay.
I don't know what, and I think what Manish is saying is that yeah, I think he was agreeing with you, and I'm basically echoing the same thing, that it's something we intend to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but would you like to share this with others or get specific inputs on what you're doing and how to improve it, or what would be?
It would be more of other services, I don't know, other opportunities to enhance the community involvement, maybe, I don't know, to be providing them a source to access to access to to process food, I guess. I don't know, something like that.
So yeah, so the potential integration of other services or opportunities to enhance community involvement. And I mean, we can think about what would be useful, because I think as Selena said, it's about what sort of tools or materials we would produce that would help you to outline that. So it could be speaking to providers who are already doing this kind of thing, what's working for them or what's not. But also maybe you presenting something and we get feedback on that, for example.
I think that could be, that could be the setting for all sorts of topics, that we collect different topics, and if we find more people are interested in this, we can think of setting up an event to exchange lessons and experiences, and potentially also depending on the location of members, set the stage for collaborations. But I think right now it would be still for me important to understand that particular topic that you just outlined. I'm still not sure what it would really be about, because if we can capture this, we can already we can have it here listed and see how that is also of interest for others. So if you could just
actually you have it there already. I just now saw it. The last on your left side, the last point there actually is what we're saying.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so you captured. I just didn't realize. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, all right. Perfect. Any other topics that would be of key interest?
Yes, one final thing is that there can be some trainings on the financing and funding mechanisms which are available. to set up the CAS type of the cold room chains.
Yeah.
What aspects of financing specifically?
Say there are villages who would like to have the cold room set up over there, but someone should be willing to invest over there. So the companies who would be providing this kind of services like ours, we would have a limit to how much funding we can do.
Okay.
So let us say if there is a need for having 100 cold rooms, for the CAS, then once a pilot is done, the methodology and the success story is established, okay, and you have a positive feedback and a foolproof system is set up. So then the next thing is to scale it up, replicate it. Okay, so let's say if someone wants to set up 100 such cold rooms in 1 year, how to get the funding for that?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that is noted. Yeah, this whole topic of financing mechanisms and how to increase access to funding, it's something that we are definitely thinking about. Yeah, but it's good that you pointed out again. All right. Any more ideas for sessions or areas where you see support would be very useful?
The only other thing that I had thought about that I've spoken to other organizations before is the renewable energy credits, and this is going a bit in the direction of the bundling that we spoke of before, because there are, where I need to think about what I'm saying. There are cold room operators who are using renewable energy credits as an additional source of revenue. And is this something that you would be interested in understanding how you can do this too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will even go to the extent, if that's already, like Selena has said a couple of times, something we, been thinking or working on, if there could even be like a template or a protocol where you are, a service provider, is, articulating the deployment of several cold rooms, where we could send through that protocol, service provider could send their information or data, and that could then help drive the back end. We use the word back end here. The service provider in the field, doesn't have all the nuances of what the financiers on the back end want and need, right? Oftentimes, either they don't have the nuance and or access to really the gut of how it's done and who does it. Now, so if there's a protocol where we can, as members of SET Alliance, can send information on that protocol, and the backend gets it and help us to drive that end goal of financing, I think it will be very helpful if there's some kind of protocol to do that, because that would really then open up the field for us to say, okay, we've sent this information through SET Alliance, and they're working with it, and maybe they are able to aggregate that information with other, you use the word bundling, with other SET Alliance members. That could then help drive the investors, investment, the financiers, and to say, okay, we've bundled, such and such, and hopefully that will really fast track, how we end up getting to the goal we're all pushing at. So I will use the word protocol because I don't know what else to say how that could happen, but some kind of protocol and template that will make it easier for those in the field to get access to what they typically don't get access to. And it's kind of intimidating, actually.
Yeah. I think that's a very a good idea, and it really goes into this direction of aggregating companies implementing this business model to and aggregating the data to generate the financial viability and trackability for investors. We'll definitely take this into consideration. And it is definitely also along the lines in which we are already thinking it. It just get there, but
I think the important aspect of that is this idea of standardized practices, that we can obviously collect the same data points, but it makes it much easier if in the design of projects or solution providers and newcomers, for example, that they can follow that or design their services based along these lines, would make it easier, I think.
Yeah, but then for that, it would still be important to have the standardized information being able to be entered. Like, they need to know in advance in order to be able to do that way. Okay, any other points? Okay, if not, I would say let's close this brainstorming session. Thank you very much for your inputs and opinions on these topics. I think that's very valuable, and we will certainly take these into consideration as we are further building this community and developing trainings and webinars. And I would now share my screen again properly.